shooter coming up on 7:59 on this Monday morning commute, which is a little slow right now through Clackamas County. This is I-205 and a live look between Oregon City and West Linn. There's your southbound drive kind of puttering along over the Abernathy Bridge. Another check of traffic through North Portland. There's your I-5 southbound commute and the ramps that take you from I-5 onto the Fremont Bridge. Southbound I-5 is not bad, but we do have a couple of slow spots out there right now. Let's get a look at your drive times. Inbound Sunset, less than 20 minutes from Hillsboro. I'd say on a Monday morning commute, that's not bad. Rod?
All right, Chris, thanks for that. We do have a hot afternoon coming on this Monday. Inland areas are all clear at this hour. Good morning to you in Salem as you look at the state capitol. Temperatures now on the rise and at a pretty good pace. 69 in Salem, and PDX also sharing that same number at 69. Here is your planner. We've got the impact alert up from noon through about 8 p.m. this evening. Just to remind you to plan your outdoor activities around the heat. 81 at noon. 95 at 5 o'clock. It does appear we'll stay in the 80s tomorrow, back down to 80 on Wednesday.
Now at 8, 2 firefighters killed in Idaho as the suspected shooter is also found dead.
This was a total ambush. These firefighters did not have a chance.
We have the latest info we are learning this morning about that ambush.
Plus, Governor Kotek blaming Oregon Republicans for failing to pass a massive transportation bill over the weekend during the final hours of the legislative session.
I will put that at the feet of the folks who could have made that happen, and that is the Republican leadership.
We'll get reaction from Republicans and from ODOT leaders who say layoffs are now on the way.
Then it's being called a breakthrough in HIV prevention.
This is definitely something new and amazing.
The new treatment just approved by the FDA that could be a game changer.
And later this hour, the new technology that's helping police crack down on speeders.
We are at the very tip of the iceberg trying to understand this data.
We'll hear from one of the first agencies to use it here in the Pacific Northwest as we kick off the 8 o'clock hour of sunrise right now.
A very good Monday morning to you. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Stephanie Domrat in for China.
And I'm Drew Carney. We've got Chris McGinnis back on board this morning as well, and Rod Hill right where he needs to be in the Weather Center talking about today's forecast.
Hey, good morning. It is one of those mornings where it's clear inland but foggy at the coast, so kind of two different weather worlds. Here's Chinook Winds Casino Resort in Lincoln City. This image has not budged all morning since we came on the air at 5 a.m. It's still 52 degrees here in the 8 o'clock hour. And I'm not sure if the fog clears. It could end up being kind of a varied batch of clearing spots and foggy spots at the coast today. We do know inland areas will look like this all day. Just a sunny blue sky like we had yesterday. 69 is the current temperature. Numbers are now starting to warm nicely. I have the impact alert up from noon through 8 p.m. for the hot weather that you'll want to kind of plan your day around. 81 degrees at noon, and there's that high 95. Not a record, Chris. The record today actually is 100 degrees on the button, and I don't want to jinx it. I was going to say not a chance we would hit that, but I don't want to jinx it, so I didn't say that. Whoop!
Okay. We've got that on tape now, so we'll see. All right, let's go ahead. I-5 drive through North Portland, getting a little bit busier near the Fremont Bridge. Your southbound commute again, puttering along, heading down towards the Rose Quarter, but not bad. We do have one pretty big slow spot, and this has been kind of ever present here as we get into the 8 o'clock hour. I-205 heading down towards the Abernathy Bridge. We'll switch gears, take you over towards the Gladstone area. You can see we're puttering along at about 14 miles an hour there. Right now, your drive times shape up like this. 17 minutes now, Main Street to the Fremont Bridge, and most of that congestion has shifted. The end of the line, if you will, has crossed the interstate bridge. So we're not that bad out of Clark County, but things tighten up a little bit on the Oregon side. And Banfield, Sunset, I-5 from Wilsonville, up, but not so bad out there this morning. Stephanie?
Okay, Chris, thank you. Well, what started as a call for a grass fire near Coeur d'Alene turned deadly as firefighters were met with gunfire.
Investigators say the suspected shooter was also found dead with a gun and a cell phone nearby. For more on the story, here's Brandon T. Jones with our sister station in Spokane.
While that shelter in place has been lifted, you can still see it is very much an active scene here on Canfield Mountain. Officers have been coming and going throughout the morning. That smell of smoke also still lingers here in the air from that fire that was started yesterday. But there's still lots of details that haven't been released at this point. What we do know This all started around 1:30 yesterday afternoon. Fire crews responding to a wildfire here on Canfield Mountain were shot while doing their job and serving their community. Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris described the shooting as a total ambush and saying the firefighters didn't have a chance. The 2 firefighters killed, one from the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department, one from Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. Another from Coeur d'Alene Fire Department is still in the hospital. For hours, a shelter in place was issued to the area as law enforcement searched for the suspected shooter and man they believe started the fire. Sheriff Norris says they were briefed to neutralize the suspect and to eliminate the threat. Around 7:45, with the help of a cell phone signal, they located the suspect. Norris says they exchanged fire with the suspect, who was pronounced dead. At this point, it is unclear whether it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound or if it was a bullet from officers.
We believe that there's a likelihood that when we are able to enter the scene again tomorrow without the threat of fire, that we'll find other weapons that were placed. So this was a total ambush. These firefighters did not have a chance.
This is something that we don't train for. It's not something we expect. It's not something our firefighters should have to deal with.
So extremely difficult circumstances to navigate. Again, it's still early in this investigation process. Names and information about the victims and the suspect have yet to be released. Norris did note that nearly 300 law enforcement officers responded to this scene yesterday, including snipers and deployed helicopters. So as soon as we get any further details, we'll be sure to keep you updated across all of our platforms. But for now, here in Coeur d'Alene, Brandon T. Jones.
A procession took place for the 2 firefighters who died in that ambush. Dozens of members of the public gathered on overpasses in North Idaho to show their respect for the fallen firefighters.
We have an update on a story we've been bringing you all morning long. Portland police have lifted a shelter-in-place order for residents in Northwest Portland after a shooting last night that happened near Northwest 26th and Petty Grove. Police were initially looking for 4 suspects in this shooting. They found 3 of them already. One, though, is still on the loose, so police are asking anyone with information about the suspects or what happened during the shooting last night to give them a call.
A massive transportation package that Democrats hoped would fund road projects and the Oregon Department of Transportation has failed.
The $11.7 billion plan aimed to raise money through a new gas tax and also a new pay-per-mile tax for electric vehicles. Republicans called it the biggest tax hike in state history, and it died on Friday when lawmakers ran out of time. There was a smaller version that also failed to pass before the session ended on Sunday. Republicans say the package was rushed and relied too heavily on new taxes. Democrats blame state Republican leaders for blocking the deal. Here's what ODOT had to say about all this. ODOT says without that money, I should say, deep cuts are coming, including hundreds of job losses. In a statement, they told us, quote, next week, ODOT will begin the layoff process. By the end of July, hundreds of positions will no longer be at ODOT. Governor Tina Kotek also spoke on the outcome over the weekend.
There was a lot of hard work to get it to a comprehensive transportation package, and legislators at the end of the day could not get that over the finish line.
Governor Kotek says she still plans to push for a solution here. She says she wants lawmakers back at the table soon to help figure out how to fill the gap.
We are just a few days away now from Independence Day. And in Washington, the legal sale of fireworks kicked off over the weekend. This was the scene at Mean Gene Fireworks in Vancouver, where people took advantage of early bird sales. We spoke to Mean Gene himself, who told us safety does remain a top priority every year.
One of the big things that we're focusing on this year is disposal, because people can do everything right and then throw their used fireworks in a can or something, and they may smolder, and when everybody's asleep they catch on fire, and then you have a big problem. So we're encouraging everybody to wet everything down well before they dispose of them.
Important advice there. He reiterated fireworks are designed with safety in mind, but only if used as directed.
Gene doesn't seem so mean after all, right? If you're heading to Sauvie Island for the holiday weekend, don't forget your parking permit and your new beach pass. You need both of them starting this weekend. You're going to need a special pass on top of your regular wildlife parking permit if you want to park at any of the beaches there on Sauvie Island. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife says too many cars have caused safety issues by double parking, blocking roads, and creating fire risks in dry areas. There are about 900 parking spots altogether, but on busy days, officials say more than 2,600 vehicles have shown up looking for a single spot. Some residents say limiting cars is a good move, but not everyone agrees.
It does get really crowded, so I can sort of understand where they're coming from and trying to limit, but I don't know. I think it just complicates things.
Officials say the new pass is a pilot program for the holidays and weekends this summer. You can get one online or from a licensed agent.
And it was a warm one over the weekend, but today is really going to bring the heat, right, Rod?
Yeah, 90 yesterday. Hot, right? You probably noticed it soaring. Today, 95. And in my mind, when you bump by 5, it's a completely different category. And my point is, you'll notice, hey, it's hotter today. You'll notice that. Now, the Weather Service does have a heat advisory up, not for the valley, but from the Dalles eastward out toward Pendleton and up into the Columbia Basin cities of Washington. This heat advisory today and tomorrow. And it's this area where, generally speaking, temperatures have a good chance to hit 100. Weather Service believes some cities, especially tomorrow, from Pendleton northward, could be as hot as about 103. So we're watching that. Here's the live camera from the Oregon Veterans Home camera out in the Dalles this morning. Looking at Mount Hood, of course, 66 degrees, calm winds out there right now. Here's the Chehalem tasting room. We'll be clear all day, most inland areas today. Just fabulous. Sunny-wise, 69 out at the tasting room in Sherwood. And here is our temperature map. We're already now seeing 70 in West Lynn, Hillsboro, Beaverton, Scappoose, Forest Grove 73, warming up more quickly on the west side than the east side this morning. And there's the Dalles over on the west. I'm sorry, Dallas. My apologies. Dallas, how are you this morning? You're at 70 degrees. All right, here's the map. Most inland areas are going to be 90 or better. And there is a thunderstorm risk going into early evening coming up from the south toward Medford and then perhaps migrating up toward Sun River. And that could mean possible fire starts. We'll keep an eye on that. And at the beach, it's foggy right now. And I'm not sure how that fog forecast is going to play out today. We do know it's going to be clear inland. Portland, the impact alert this afternoon for the 95-degree temperature. Plan your day accordingly. By tomorrow, we're at least back down into the 80s and then more comfortable by far on Wednesday and Thursdays. We're back down to about 80 right now, July 4th. Mostly sunny, 82 on Friday. Here is Chris McGinnis.
That looks good. All right, let's get you out the door, take you over to the west side into Washington County. Heads up Bull Mountain Road near Roy Rogers Road. A fender bender there has the commute a little snarl at that intersection. Meanwhile, back over to the east side, this is a live look from photojournalist Chad Dehart. He's on Powell Boulevard near Southeast 109th. You can see some fresh asphalt there on the shoulder. This is all part of ODOT's Outer Powell Safety Improvements Project here. This is phase 2. Which will include throughout the week today some lane shifts, closures, and possible holds of traffic on Powell Boulevard east of I-205 up to 20 minutes at a time. So just be aware of that if that's part of your morning commute today. I-5 from Clark County, 16 minutes now gets you in from Main Street. This is what the southbound drive looks like near I-405. No major freeway trouble out there right now, guys.
All right, thank you, Chris. Coming up next here on Sunrise, we're talking about a heat wave. Not here, but a heat wave in France that's prompting authorities there to issue alerts. We're going to have more on that in your morning rush. Plus, a new HIV treatment just approved by the FDA that's being considered a medical breakthrough. Coming up here, we're going to hear from a doctor who walks us through why this injection could be a real game changer.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Here's a look at some national and world headlines now with your morning rush. The U.S. Senate is holding a marathon voting session this morning on a sweeping funding package backed by President Trump. This is a live look from the Senate chambers in Washington, D.C. Senators can introduce an unlimited number of amendments today to the president's Big Beautiful Bill. Republicans are trying to get that bill passed by this Friday. Over the weekend, all but 2 Republicans voted to advance the measure in a procedural vote. All right, listen to this story now. A young girl and her father are safe after they fell overboard from a Disney cruise ship. Officials say the girl actually fell from the 4th deck of that ship. Her father, who we're now calling Hero, jumped in after her. Rescue crews responded and quickly pulled both of them out of the water within minutes. So it sounded awful, but it actually ended up okay for both dad and daughter. And we're also talking about severe heat this week in parts of France. Temperatures there expected to climb above 100 degrees in much of the country. Authorities in France are advising people to avoid travel and sun exposure during the hottest parts of the day. That heat wave, by the way, is expected to reach its peak by Wednesday. So today and tomorrow, not even the worst of it. Wednesday is going to be worse. And that, my friends, is your morning rush.
Still
You
climbing,
said
huh?
100
Today. Yeah.
better, though. Is the worst of the heat wave?
No, it's going to keep going.
It said they're expecting temperatures of 100 degrees. The worst of the heat wave is going to be on Wednesday. What was your question, my friend?
Well, so that doesn't really specify then exactly if it's going to be like 103
105. We don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
we
have
don't
to
know.
check that.
But around 100
We're arguing
or better
about
for several
semantics. I see.
The details matter, right,
Yeah,
Rod?
no,
For
I
Rod,
want to have a
Science
handle on
world.
this. Here's something we did not do when we were just on broadcast TV, so we have this only in our streaming hour here at 8 o'clock this morning. You may have seen this already. The Weather Service came out with this last week on the 19th. But projecting all of the West to be above normal temperature-wise for the month of July. Now understand, where you see the bullseye, that doesn't mean that's the bullseye of we're going to be that much above normal. That just means that's the highest confidence around Salt Lake City of being above normal. So these maps give you limited information. But when we talk about being above normal in July, you automatically think, especially lately, that means a lot of days bumping up into the 90s. And this also projects us to be below normal precip-wise. So what's below normal precip-wise? Well, normal is a half of an inch. So when you get into a drier mode, all of a sudden in my mind, I'm thinking 1/10, quarter of an inch. Maybe it's one of those Julys where we only get a trace. So that's not great news. That to me is almost a more noteworthy, problematic issue of the 2 maps I just showed you. Now, this is what most of the weather models say the heat dome for July, the center of high pressure ridging, is going to set up somewhere from West Texas back into where this shows it, which is the 4 corners of Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado, with ridging up through the Rockies. So the question is, will the heat just somehow magically stay just to our east, or will we get kind of sucked into the back edge of this heat dome setup? And if we do get sucked in, if you will, then we would go on a run maybe a couple times in July of like 5 90-degree plus days in a row. I will tell you the modeling so far through July 15th kind of holds us back, doesn't just show a lot of 90-degree heat. So we'll see how it plays out. Here's Timberline Lodge live for you this morning, 62. Pretty similar temp at 6,000 feet to what we have here in the valley, which is evidence of this is a hot batch of air just waiting to warm today. We are 69 now at PDX, 66 up in Kelso. Everybody's clear except for the fog at the beach. Astoria, good morning. 57 is your current temperature. It's already 72 over in Bend. They'll be warming up today. Here's a look at a thunderstorm threat this evening, nearing Medford and then kind of trying to bounce north, but weakening somewhere around Sun River and Bend. And that is noteworthy because this area could see renewed thunderstorm activity each late day for the next several, and that means the watch will be on for potential new fire starts. Okay, the beach today. I'm not sure what the fog banks do. Right now it's foggy. If you don't clear out, you'll be around 60, but if the fog banks push out to sea a little bit, you'll get up to about 70. Inland areas easily reaching 90 degrees or better. Mid-90s expected in Salem and Vancouver and Battleground. And I've got 95 in Portland with the KGW weather impact alert just to grab your attention to plan your day around the heat of the afternoon. Tomorrow we knock it down to 87, and then we keep knocking. And by Wednesday we're at 80. And then by Thursday we're so exhausted we can't knock it down any further, but we keep it there. That's not too bad.
How about some 70s?
I'm too tired. Yeah.
Oh. Go back to sleep. All right. Hey, if you want to escape the heat, do a little camping in the Coast Range, know this. Highway 47, this actually started last week, but this is a lengthy closure, full closure of Highway 47 in Mist, specifically near the Messing Creek crossing. They're doing culvert replacement, and the detour, it's a really lengthy one. Apiary Road, Highway 30, Highway 47 south of Clatskanie. So just be aware of that if any travel, if you have any travel scheduled over the next 6 weeks through that area. The traffic map right now, not in too bad a shape. We do have a couple of slow spots. This is one of them. This is I-5 northbound traffic you're looking at right now in the Wilsonville area. So getting up and over the Boone Bridge is a little heavy. This is a little misleading. The backup actually on I-5 is not necessarily in Vancouver now. It's through North Portland, southbound I-5, puttering along a little bit. It takes you about 15 minutes or so to get in from the Interstate Bridge south to the Fremont Bridge. Stephanie?
All right, Chris, thank you. And still ahead here on Sunrise, summer sun and summer sunscreen. We verify how to choose the best protection for your skin.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
In your health news this morning, researchers are making huge strides to prevent HIV infections. This month, the FDA approved a preventative drug that's being called a transformative breakthrough. Christine Pei with our sister station in Seattle looks into the impact.
Until there's a vaccine against HIV, doctors are celebrating the next best thing, an injectable drug that can block HIV from replicating in the body. It's called lenacapavir under the brand name Yeztugo.
It's all about preventing HIV from getting inside.
Dr. Kevin Wang is a primary care physician at Providence Swedish in Seattle. He says what makes lenacapavir exciting is the far fewer doses of medication needed. The injection is given only twice a year.
It'll help cut down on needed office visits. It makes it a little bit more convenient so they don't have to take medications every day.
He's referring to a medication process called pre-exposure prophylaxis, also known as PrEP. A current PrEP option is taking a daily pill that stops HIV from copying itself in the body, making it difficult for the virus to enter white blood cells.
It doesn't kill the virus or anything, but it just does what it can to help prevent infection.
While a daily pill option for PrEP will still be available, Dr. Wang says the twice-a-year injection could be a game changer.
This is definitely something new and amazing for patients who may have difficulty accessing healthcare services, and getting injections twice a year to help decrease HIV acquisition is huge.
Dr. Wang also serves as medical director for Providence Swedish's LGBTQIA+ program. But he emphasizes this latest advancement in HIV care isn't limited to that community.
HIV is something which affects every person of all ages, of all, doesn't matter about your country of origin, doesn't matter about your language spoken, your ability status, your LGBT+ identity.
Of concern, however, is the potential cost of the newly approved drug. Lenacapavir as a PrEP medication is currently at about $28,000 per person a year, according to a New York Times report. The expectation is insurance will cover the bulk of the cost for patients.
Coverage and payment are certainly going to be big considerations, and for those with commercial insurance, co-pays may also be quite high, and so we may need to search some additional options, mostly from patient assistance programs with pharmaceutical companies, to see if we can make it an affordable option for you.
Dr. Wang also acknowledges the drug will take time to become widely available, but for now,
if we can get the word out, there are these options to help keep our community safe.
That was Christine Pei reporting for us. In your other health news today, we are entering the part of the year marked by a lot of sunshine. And with that comes renewed emphasis from healthcare experts on the importance of sunscreen. Megan Bragg verifies how you can pick the best sunscreen for your skin.
Since 2007, the Environmental Working Group, a research advocacy organization, puts out its sunscreen report. This year, they looked at more than 2,400 SPF products and found 498 met their criteria for safety. So we're taking a look at some of the criteria for what makes the best sunscreen. To get answers, we went to the Environmental Working Group. Dr. Alyssa Daniel, a dermatologist with Metrolina Dermatology, the American Academy of Dermatology, and the CDC. There are several different types of sunscreen on the market. When it comes to recommendations, the EWG states mineral sunscreen is the safest course of action. The American Academy of Dermatology says if the active ingredients in your sunscreen is titanium dioxide and zinc oxide or both, you have a mineral sunscreen. When it comes to chemical sunscreen, those have more ingredients and may be easier to rub in. However, there's some controversy surrounding chemical sunscreens and their effect on your body. Experts say more studies need to be done. Dr. Daniel tells us that mineral-based sunscreen works best on kids and people who have sensitive skin.
There are some skin conditions, especially if patients are dealing with problems with pigment, that I do prefer more of the mineral blockers.
What about the SPF in sunscreen? According to the AAD, the higher number doesn't always mean the better. Sunscreen with SPF of at least 30 blocks 90% of the sun's UVB rays. However, the CDC says in order for it to work, you need to apply often. If you're in the sun for more than 2 hours, reapplying is key.
Coming up in our next half hour of Sunrise, several people injured after a series of weekend shootings in Portland. We're going to hear from Police Chief Bob Day, who called it a, quote, tough 12 hours. Then later, your phone may be smarter than you think. How it's helping law enforcement in Washington track down some of the state's most dangerous drivers. Sunrise live here at 8 o'clock continues in 3 minutes.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Stephanie Domerad. A big transportation bill at the state capitol has failed. House Bill 2025, worth $11.7 billion, would have paid for road projects and funded ODOT with a gas tax and a new mileage tax for electric cars. ODOT says without that money, big cuts and hundreds of job losses could come next year. Republicans called it the biggest tax hike in state history. It did die Friday when lawmakers ran out of time in the legislative session. Governor Kotek says she still wants lawmakers to find a way to fill the gap. And it is going to be a hot one. Let's get over to Rod Hill for those details. Hey, Rod.
Yeah, remember yesterday you're outside, you're like, man, it's hot. Did we hit 90? We did. Well, today it's going to be 95. So a little bit more on the toasty side. We have clear skies. We'll keep the clear sky all day like yesterday. Right now, already 69. Temperatures on the way up. We have a KGW weather impact alert from noon through 8 p.m. to remind you to plan around the heat. 81 at noon, 95 the high. We will take the temperature back down to 87 tomorrow, and then we're more comfortable by Wednesday with a high of only 80 degrees.
Well, have you heard of the term fridge cigarette? It's
No.
a term, guys, it's a term that's growing on popularity in social media. Have you not heard about it?
Oh.
Well, it's a new way
That
of
thing.
talking about having a Diet Coke while on a work break. I didn't know we needed a term.
No, neither did I.
Think of it as a traditional smoke break, but with a soda. So one of the first posts to use the term on TikTok in early June now has nearly 4 million views. I feel old.
Well,
I feel old.
I'm all for like coming up with a phrase to help shorten things, but I'm going to go have a Coke. It's pretty
Fridge.
simple to say.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a
fridge cigarette.
fridge cigarette. Nah,
There's more syllables than that.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, it's more work.
I'm not buying into that. What I am buying into is our 8:30 half hour. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and traffic coming your way here on a Monday morning. Rod's going to kick off this half hour with a look at your forecast.
Now, here's an oldie but a goodie term. It's
Okay.
possible I would take a sleep break, and I won't be here after this for the remainder of the show.
I
We'll
want
see.
one of those. I
We'll
want one
see.
of those.
All right.
That sounds good.
Here's a Schnookwiz Casino Resort camera in Lincoln. Say this has not budged to the point that I'm wondering if the camera's working, but all the other coast cameras show the same thing. Just socked in with fog this morning, 52, and I don't have a good feeling for whether or not the fog banks will completely clear or not at the beach. We do know inland will be sunny all day and getting toasty. Already rising to 69. I have us 81 at noon and 95 at 5 o'clock. We have the KGW weather impact alert for the heat. Exhaustion, sunburn risks, it all escalates. Obviously, shade, water, keep hydrated, sunscreen, and you know, if you're getting tired, it's probably time to have a bottle of water and take a, what do we call that? A cigarette, a fridge cigarette break. Okay, all right, back to you, Chris.
Rod's going to use that for his nap. Have a good nap, a power nap. All right, on the west side, traffic heating up. We've got some trouble now on the inbound Sunset. This is near the zoo. You can see ODOT's there with their incident responders. Fender bender there has the right lane blocked, and traffic is starting to slow a little bit. This is back towards Camelot, so the exit Camelot Court overpass, by the way, in case you're wondering, West Sylvan for most of our purposes. Inbound Highway 26 is starting to bunch up a little bit now, so that drive time has jumped up significantly in the last few minutes, up to 30 to get you in from Hillsborough. The end of the line on the I-5 drive has crossed the interstate bridge, and you don't really hit thick traffic now until you get down to the Expo Center. That said, once you do, it's about a 14-minute ride from there down to the Fremont, or 16 minutes from Main Street to I-405. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. We're hearing from a Vancouver mom this morning after a man tried to abduct her 5-year-old right outside their house.
Scary situation there. It turns out Vancouver police arrested that 21-year-old suspect earlier this year for trying to pay teen girls for sex. But he posted bail and was released. As our John Adams reports, this family now hopes he won't be let out again.
A Vancouver mother who wants to be identified as Dakota says she had just arrived home on June 25th when she noticed a white Nissan Versa sitting on her street.
He looked a little out of place, but at the same time he didn't, because he was blocking my neighbor's driveway, and I assumed they had to have company, because who would block another person's driveway?
Dakota says the vehicle sat in the road for about 30 minutes before one of her twin 5-year-old daughters came running inside.
My daughter come busting in the door to let me know that a man out here told her to go onto the street and he would give her the toy if he if she met him on the street.
You can see the child running back inside on this Ring security video while the white Versa drives away.
Mentally, it's constantly racing in my mind over and over that it even happened and what could have happened.
Dakota contacted Vancouver police after the incident. They were able to identify the vehicle and arrest 21-year-old Alexander Wright-Brock. VPD says Wright-Brock had been trying to lure the child towards him by using a magic trick. He has been charged with 2 felony counts for this incident. The 21-year-old was out on bail after being arrested in March for allegedly approaching teen girls in that same Nissan Versa and attempting to pay them for sex. Now this family says they will be at every court appearance Wright-Brock makes going forward, doing what they can to make sure he isn't released before standing trial.
He tried to ruin my life. He tried to ruin my daughter's life. And honestly, my intention is to help ruin his life too.
The fact that he's had the opportunity to be out in the streets is unfair to us as a community, and the prosecutor needs to do their job and keep him in jail.
John Adams, KGW News.
This past weekend proved to be a violent one, with at least 4 shootings, separate shootings, sending 7 people to the hospital.
One of them happened just after midnight on Saturday when a teenager allegedly fired more than 24 shots into a crowd at a private event with over 100 people. 4 people were shot there, including a 15-year-old. The 16-year-old suspect, meanwhile, now faces several counts against him, including attempted murder. About 30 minutes later, a man was shot in the jaw outside a convenience store on Northeast Lombard. Police are still looking for the suspect in that shooting. We're not through here. On Sunday, 2 more people were shot in separate incidents, both in the leg. One of them happened near North Maryland just after 4 in the morning. The other happened downtown near Southwest 12th in Columbia at around 9:30. Both victims are expected to be okay. So far, police have not made any arrests.
These acts cannot just be seen as accepted, but I couldn't be more proud of the way that the Portland police throughout the night stretched incredibly thin, literally ran to the gunfire.
On top of all that, Portland police are also investigating a death in custody. Officers responded to a disturbance call late Saturday in North Portland. They say a man was flooding his apartment and hanging knives out the window. At some point during their response, police called an ambulance and paramedics did CPR, but that man later died at the hospital.
We're working to learn more about a fire near Fisher's Landing in Vancouver. We spoke to people who could see the flames, including one person who lived nearby.
We came from downtown Vancouver, a little past that. We came all the way here. I mean, just follow the smoke.
It's stratosphere. It's out there.
It's way out there.
There's about 60-foot flames on the east side of our property. Looked like the mill. We're pretty lucky. We live in a county and a district that's well supported with our firefighters and EMS personnel.
Our photojournalist on scene says that fire was nearly out by 8:30 last night.
I opened the window and then you could just hear just a roaring fire, and then we actually felt the heat on our face.
Investigators in Newburgh are looking for what caused a wooden train trestle to catch fire. This fire broke out just before 3 o'clock yesterday morning on an inactive rail line. Firefighters were able to get this fire under control, but the trestle did suffer a lot of damage. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
We have an update this morning on the major shakeup for Portland's new WNBA team. The owners of the team confirming team president Inky Sun is out just 3 months into the job. Raj Sports released a joint statement with Sun saying she decided to leave the organization, adding that her brief but impactful tenure helped lay the foundation for the franchise's presence in Portland. A source close to the team tells KGW that longtime Nike executive Claire Hamill has been named interim team president. Well, thousands lined the streets of Seattle yesterday afternoon for the city's annual Pride Parade. This year's theme was louder. Nearly 250 groups, nonprofits, businesses, even our Seattle sister station entertained the crowd for hours throughout the heart of downtown Seattle. Many people who participated say they had a great time, including a lot of first-timers.
This will be my first Pride March, and I'm actually living. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good to be comfortable and just walk around knowing no one's judging me. I'm just like smiling at everything. See right now? I see y'all. I see y'all.
We think it's just really important for them to experience this and support their friends and their community.
Organizers were expecting around 300,000 people to show up. A spokesperson for Seattle Police said there were no issues, just a lot of people having a great time.
Closer to home, the city of Beaverton recognized the 10-year anniversary of the nationwide legalization of same-sex marriage over the weekend with free weddings and vow renewals. This was all part of the city's Pride Parade and celebration on Sunday. The city said yesterday's Pride event may have been its biggest one ever.
A few years ago, it was very short and very brief, but in the past couple years, it's grown and grown and grown, and now it feels substantial.
There's such a large gathering of school kids sharing in this event, and it's great. You see little boys in tutus and girls in Superman costumes. It's just about expressing yourself, and that's what's nice.
We also have this reminder: the 2025 Portland Pride Parade is happening on Sunday, July 20th. It'll start at 11 in the morning and will launch from the North Park blocks. It'll run about a mile. That parade is part of the larger Portland Pride Waterfront Festival that begins the day before on Saturday, July 19th. All right, police around the country have some new technology to crack down on speeders, and the Washington State Patrol is one of the first agencies to use it.
So information from cell phones is being analyzed to help catch speeders all across the state. Drew Mickelson with our sister station in Seattle explains.
I-5 through Joint Base Lewis-McChord is infamous for its traffic slowdowns, but it's also one of the worst spots for speeders, at least according to data from the cell phones of South Sound commuters.
This is so exciting to be using data that we haven't had access to before.
The state's Traffic Safety Commission purchased data collected by apps like Google Maps or Waze and information from insurance companies to determine the most dangerous stretches of Washington's highways. For the next 6 weeks, the State Patrol's aviation unit and ground patrols will be going after speeders at 4 of those locations. I-5 from Joint Base Lewis-McChord north to Fife, a section of I-5 north of Fife up to Auburn, I-5 north and south of Everett, and 14 miles of I-90 just west of Spokane out to almost the Idaho border.
We are at the very tip of the iceberg trying to understand this data.
Safety Commission Acting Director Shelley Baldwin says since law enforcement can't be everywhere, the driver data helps predict where troopers are needed. And no personal information is ever gathered by the state.
They don't collect it like to look at a driver. They're collecting it to really build this huge database of information that comes directly real time.
Since COVID, the state's fatality figures have been the highest in decades. Baldwin says learning where drivers are speeding or using their cell phones will hopefully reverse that trend.
These driving behaviors, along with buckling or not buckling your seatbelt, are factors in 75% of deadly crashes. If we can get a handle on these, we can turn these numbers around and get back to working towards zero.
A spokesperson for the Traffic Safety Commission says Washington State is one of the first in the union to use this cell phone data to go after speeding drivers and distracted drivers.
Okay, from that, let me take you to Columbia County real quick. Just a reminder, Highway 47, if you've got travel plans through the Oregon Coast Range this summer, know this, a section of 47 closed completely just north of Mist for a culvert repair. That closure through August 21st, and the detour is lengthy. Apiary Road, Highway 30, and Highway 47 through Clatskanie, so that's miles out of your way. All right, back to the freeway drive. It looks like their earlier crash on the Sunset just east of the zoo has just cleared. But the inbound drive obviously puttering along here. In fact, your commute now in from Hillsborough has jumped up to 31 minutes. So that's one of our bigger slow spots. Also in Oregon City, 213 northbound. You can see incident responders here on the scene here of this crash. This is northbound near the 205 on-ramp. So Drew, we've got some slowing getting on to 205 northbound out of Oregon City from Highway 213. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that update, Chris. All right, temperatures hit 90 yesterday around the area, and this was one way several people were cooling off. A game of water polo. I didn't know this ever happened on Oswego Lake, but it did happen yesterday. In fact, it was the second annual open water polo tournament there. We're going to have more on this coming up after the break.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Well, check this out. It's not often you find water polo matches in Oregon's chilly waters, but that is exactly what happened over the weekend in Lake Oswego. Teams from up and down the West Coast were in town for the second annual men's and women's open water polo tournament. It's hosted by Oswego Lake Neighbors and the Lake Oswego Water Polo Organization. A portion of the lake near the Lakeshore Inn was closed off for the competition. We caught up with two participating Lake Ridge High School graduates who are also getting ready to play collegiate water polo in the fall.
It's like all the things that I love. Like I used to play basketball, I used to do swimming. I just kind of combine them into two things that I really love the most.
I hope that water polo continues to grow in Oregon. It's such a special sport, and it's really added a lot to my life, and I feel like it can do the same for so many people.
The weekend's tournaments included 8 men's teams and 5 women's teams. If you missed it and want to check it out, the competition continues today not far from Millennial Plaza Park. They're having a good time out there. The cheers were fun. It's cute.
Every time I watch water polo, I find it hard to believe that they're just treading water.
I know.
Like I could never do that and not be able to touch the bottom.
Yeah, it's true. It's impressive.
Nadia, I'd rather play Marco Polo. Because seriously, you can get out and just sit on the bench and have a sandwich while the person's yelling Marco, and then you never have to yell polo, but you get credit for playing. It's really fantastic.
That's dirty, Rob.
That seems like cheating, but.
Oh, no, it's not. Come on.
Okay.
Here's a look at our watch warning map. Not for the valley. I mean, we're going to be 95 today. Just at the polo. Great game, isn't it? Now I lost my train of thought. All right. The one advisory from the Weather Service we have is everything shaded from the Dalles out toward Pendleton. And this is a heat advisory for today and tomorrow. If anything, especially from Pendleton and then up north into Washington, the hottest temperatures will be tomorrow, where a whole fistful of areas are expected to be 100, 101, 2, or 3. The Dalles could hit 100 today, but you're not expected to be as warm tomorrow. Now, there are no heat advisories from NWS, from the Weather Service here for the Valley, but we are looking at being up to around 95 degrees today in Portland, but we'll cool off somewhat tomorrow. This is a weather model at 4, and I think this particular model may not be warm enough. It shows Salem 94, Portland 92, Longview 87 at 4 o'clock. We could still see our daytime highs rise into the 5 o'clock hour. It does show 100 degrees in the Dalles, and then shy of that in Pendleton. Pendleton absolutely expected to hit 100 or better tomorrow. All right, so we're in this hot weather flow, just for a little bit though. Salem tasting room camera out in Sherwood, 71 degrees. Downtown Portland, 69. We do have the impact alert up from noon today through 8 p.m. just to grab your attention to plan around the heat of the day. This is certainly the comfortable part of your Monday, so if you have to be outdoors working, please take advantage. Already 73 over in Bend, where it will be a beautiful sunny but hot afternoon as well. I do want to point out that southern Oregon up around Medford and then eventually migrating this evening potentially up towards Sun River and Bend, a thunderstorm threat. And the models show another threat coming up from south central Oregon toward Bend tomorrow afternoon. Here's Wednesday. They bring the threat a little bit farther to the east. But believe me, 3-4 days in a row, we will be very fortunate if we don't get some fire starts out of this with lightning activity. So that's the number one thing I think forecasters will be watching in the coming days. Back to today, it's foggy up and down the beach right now. I don't have a good handle on whether those fog banks are going to hold or push out. If they don't push out, some of you will struggle to get to 60 or above. If you end up getting afternoon sun, you'll warm back up into the low 70s. Astoria was 73 yesterday. All right, valley forecast for you. Easily low to mid 90s. It shows Salem at 96. Not records. Records this time of the year are now primarily 100 degrees or above. 94 in Battleground expected. Again, in Portland yesterday, it was 90. Today, 95. So you'll definitely notice today's going to get hotter sooner, and then in the peak of the heat, noticeably worse. 95. But tomorrow, at least we drop down into the upper 80s. And then by Wednesday, Thursday, a more significant cooling as you drop down to about 80. And right now, pretty comfortable into the July 4th weekend. It is birthday time. All right, we have a short list this morning, so let's get to it. June, hello, yes. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Happy birthday from McMinnville out there enjoying the coast, it looks like. Dia is 9 today. Happy birthday to you. Hope you have a wonderful day today. And that's our list. Send us your photos and wishes to birthdays@kgw.com. and we will celebrate with you. Oh no, Chris has his sleeves rolled up. This can't be good news.
It's a little warm in here now.
Oh, okay. Right.
No, the drive is heating up, of course, as well. Right now, you got almost 30 minutes to get in from Hillsborough on the Sunset. We had some trouble just past Sylvan on Highway 26. It looks like that earlier crash has cleared, but you can see we are slow and go from here back out to 217. So plan a few extra minutes there. This is what it looks like approaching the Sylvan Hill, and of course the sun is right in the driver's eyes. So bring your shades or your welder's mask this morning. All right, westbound I-84 slow and go coming in from the Gateway District as well. That's about a 12-mile-an-hour commute there. And the end of the line on I-5 has cleared the interstate bridge, has passed the Expo Center. This is where it starts, at Columbia Boulevard. From there, it's slow and go the rest of the way down to the Rose Quarter. Total trip in from Clark County is almost 20 minutes from Main Street. Stephanie?
All right, Chris, thank you.
I'm biking with my mom, and it's basically the best thing I've ever done. It's kind of fun to glide along without any cars.
Basically the best thing he's ever done. That is awesome. A big crowd showed up to Portland's Sunday Parkways in Northeast Coley and Roseway neighborhood over the weekend. City crews blocked off 6 miles of car-free streets for families and bikers to enjoy. Neighbors also celebrated the opening of the new Roseway Parkway Plaza at Northeast Mason Street and 72nd Avenue. Neighborhood association members are now signing up volunteers to help paint a large mural in the middle of the plaza.
Our mural is filled with locally native species, butterflies, bees, big leaf maple, Oregon white oak, things like that. And we have a ribbon kind of going around the whole plaza.
The next street to be shut down for Sunday Parkways is in East Portland on July 27th. We'll be right back after this quick break.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Quick recap of some of this morning's top local stories. 2 firefighters were killed and a third seriously hurt in a shooting near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It happened yesterday afternoon as the firefighters were responding to a wildfire on Canfield Mountain. The suspected shooter was later found dead on the mountain with a gun nearby. The local sheriff's office says they likely set the fire to set up an ambush. Officials are still working to identify the shooter and a motive. Police lifted a shelter-in-place order in northwest Portland this morning after a shooting last night near Northwest 26th and Petty Grove. Police were initially looking for 4 suspects. They did find 3 of them. 1 is still on the loose. Anyone with information about this should contact Portland Police. And a quick reminder here that public access to Oswego Lake will be closed from this Thursday evening, July 3rd, through next Monday, July 7th. The city of Lake Oswego says this is because of public safety concerns. Homeowners on that lake can still have access.
It's going to be a hot one. Just how hot are we going to get?
Yeah, today 95. Yesterday it was 90. So I've got us low 80s at noon, and the impact alert from noon until 8 p.m. So plan your day accordingly with that hot forecast. Tomorrow we're back down to the upper 80s, I believe.
Earlier trouble on the Sunset has cleared, but we're still a little slow on Highway 26 inbound. Right now you're looking at about a 25-minute ride from Hillsborough, which is better than it looked a few minutes ago. The 84 commute, a little slow and go out on near 82nd Avenue. And that's a little misleading, guys. That drive time from Clark County, the end of the line really starts right around Columbia Boulevard.
Okay, Chris, thanks. And finally, let's give you a look at this video from the coast. It happened over the weekend where a large ocean sunfish, about 6.5 feet in length, so big, washed ashore about a quarter-mile south of Sunset Beach. Sunfish can reach lengths of more than 8 feet and weigh up to 5,000 pounds.
Holy cow.
I think we said earlier, a face only a mother could
Yeah,
love.
apparently they can be ugly too.
Do they have a tail fin? How do they propel themselves?
Don't ask that one. That one's not propelling very well.
No, it's
Sorry.
not. No.
Not a good source for that information.
Okay for that one.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up today's show. Of course, we have a full week left here on Sunrise. It's going to be kind of a weird week. China will be back tomorrow, but then Stephanie rejoins us on Wednesday and Thursday. Then you've got Friday, which is the actual holiday.
Just tune in and
Musical
we'll tell you
chairs.
who's here.
Chris won't be here Friday. Stephanie won't be here Friday. I think on Friday,
Yeah.
Rod, it's just you and I.
Is that right?
That'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, well, let's do sparklers.
They said, who are the two oldest men on that show? Make them work the 4th of July. That makes the most sense of all. We thank you for watching every single day. The Sunrise Show, now 4 hours long from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. The last 2 hours, of course, exclusively here on KGW+.
Have a great day, everybody.